first what I want to do is to cover some of the topics we've covered before in previous workshops. So Mr. Nuxall, you're going to help me with this. One of the concepts we talked about was clutter. You remember that? The other one was zombie nouns. And we're going to start with clutter. And we get clutter from a neat book by William Zinsser. And he gives this example. You mind reading it for us, Mr. Nuxall?
Such preparations shall be made as will completely obscure all federal buildings and non-federal buildings occupied by the federal government during an air raid for any period of time from visibility by reason of internal or external illumination.
Right, so that example came across President Roosevelt's desk, I think about 1942, and he said, this is just bad. Like, this is just bad writing. And so we need to clean it up. This is full of what Zinsser, 30, 40 years later, would call clutter. And so he rewrites the sentence essentially doing this. You want to read the rewrite, Mr. Nuxall?
Cover the windows.
Yeah, so look at that first part. Such preparations shall be made as will completely obscure all federal buildings and non-federal buildings. All they're saying there is cover. And that last part, from visibility by reason of internal or external illumination. This is how lawyers write all the time. But you need to sort of step back, remove all the clutter, and just say, what are we saying there? We're talking about windows. Cover the windows. A much more clear, direct direction. And so, Mr. Nuxall, we kind of had some tools to figure out how to go from such preparations, blah, 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 external illumination to cover the windows, because we notice a couple kinds of words in this part. We see preparations and we see illumination. What are those kinds of words? We have a term for those.
Those would be zombie nouns.
Yeah, so they're zombie nouns. This comes from a woman named Helen Sword, who's at the University of Auckland. And what she talks about is this, taking a verb, right? So prepare or illuminate, and turning it into a noun. So you take prepare, and it becomes, Miss DeMarco,
preparations.
Or you take illuminate, a perfectly great verb, and it becomes
illumination.
Yeah, and she says, I'm going to call these zombie nouns because when you take a verb and you put it into a noun, you suck the life out of sentences. You write these sentences all the time. I read your briefs. They're full of zombie nouns, all these abstract words and language that makes it very difficult to follow your writing. The other things that zombie nouns do is they take clutter and they really increase it. So clutter is just unnecessary words. So if you take a verb like evaluate and you turn it into a noun, you have to add words, right? You say that evaluation of. You have two more words that I didn't need to read, that the judge didn't need to read, that your supervising attorney didn't need to read. You're just wasting their time. Or you take a verb like violate, right? And in order to turn it into a noun, you have to add two extra words. And we've heard all through our lives that we want to omit needless words. This comes from Strunk and White. But there's actually a cooler way to think about this. It comes from Judge Alex Kaczynski. You want to read this, Mr. Marco?
Everything you put in that doesn't help hurts.
What do you think he's getting at? Judge Kaczynski says this essentially to all of his clerks. Everything you put in my opinions, the drafts that you work on with me, and it doesn't help, it actually hurts.
It means everything that you put in should be doing work for you, basically.
Yeah, and if it's not, it's getting in the way. If you're putting in sentences that aren't doing any work for you, you're diluting the sentences that are doing work for you. You're distracting the reader's attention. You're taking up valuable time.